Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday, August 13, 2025 regular board meeting of the Savannah-Chatham County Board of Education. I really love to see actual people out in the audience physically, and those of you who are online, hope you're having a great day. The first thing we'll do is I will ask our secretary if we have posted the meeting, and she assures me that we have. Now I would request that you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim Achenbach, and I am the Performing Arts Specialist for SCCPSS, and I supervise or I support over 100 dance, theater, and music teachers, and we have all three content areas represented here singing the national anthem for us today. I think there are about 48 of us who could come. We are very fortunate to teach in a district that values dance, art, and theater. We know that these people before you are the reason that many of our students come to school. We are the application of the core subjects and a source of joy and hopefully well-being for everyone. So I hope this will be a bright spot in your day, and we are honored to perform the national anthem for you.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Great job. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Let's hear it again for our teachers. Now ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Morris, I would like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Thank you. Announcement. Oh, yeah, sorry. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Yes, there's no discussion. All in favor? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Now my. All right, our announcements. We have a capital improvement meeting, and I really encourage the public to attend these meetings. They are open to the public. Our capital improvement committee meeting is Tuesday, August 19th at 2 p.m. Here in the Whitney Building. Academic Excellence Committee meeting is Wednesday, August 20th, here at 3 p.m. We have a ribbon cutting ceremony for our CTAE complex at Davis Harris Edwards on Thursday, August 21st at 10 a.m. Another ribbon cutting at our athletic facility and police annex at the Davis Harris Edwards complex on Thursday, August 28th at 11 a.m. And our September board meeting, which is an evening meeting. The informal will start at 3 p.m. and the regular meeting will start at 6 p.m. And by the way, it is on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday in September. Now our remembrances. Let's see here. Sabrina Fitzgerald Cooper from Rice Creek School. She was a science teacher. Date of passing 7/16/2025. Bus driver Elanzia Miller. Date of passing 7/9/25. And counselor clerk Lauren Maxwell from Georgetown School. Date of passing 7/7/25. If we all please stand for a moment of silence. And now a word from our superintendent, Dr. Watts.
Good afternoon. I'm excited to bring to you the month of August calls for applause. As many of you have already heard and experienced, we started the 25-26 school year with an exciting bang. As smooth a school opening as we have had in years. Yes, there have been a few minor glitches that we want to acknowledge, but we did what we do, to paraphrase sometimes what Dr. Barnes will say, we made it do what it do. And it did great for our students, and a special thank you goes to all staff across our district to make that happen. Thank you to the operations staff, transportation, school nutrition, and maintenance for getting things up and off the ground. Children were fed well. Meal consumption was up 22% on the first day of school, and that has continued to be pretty consistent across our district. Thank you to our principals and our school leadership teams for making sure that the first day was a great start. Thank you to our teachers who opened their arms and their hearts to our scholars, and thank you to our families who partnered with us to make sure every child arrived at school ready to learn. I am 100% confident that we are going to have an amazing school year. We had a great kickoff of our inaugural Community Resource Fair, sponsored by the Savannah-Chatham County Public School System and Parent University. Thanks to the team at Savannah High School for hosting us, and thanks to our engagement and outreach team for leading this charge. Tamika Tribble, Idell Biles, and Clyde Newton went way above and beyond to organize and marshal this event. Very well done. We have cut the ribbon on 2 new facilities and a renovation in the last 2 weeks. We are so excited about these new schools. Bloomingdale Elementary and Windsor Forest High welcome scholars back to brand new state-of-the-art facilities, and the Early Learning Center and Henderson E. Formey got a big makeover. Hats off to our capital projects team for their hard work to get these buildings ready for the start of the year. The school district has also been recognized as a 2025 honoree by Inspire EDU. Inspire EDU is our partner in helping families across the digital divide. Their basic digital skills workshops offer free interactive instruction to families who wish to increase their knowledge and confidence using digital skills for everyday life, including in education and for their careers. Each family that attends the training receives a laptop as well as connections with the district leadership. Mr. Clyde Newton will accept the award at the gala in September. Congratulations also is extended to Ms. Sheena Boykin for being selected as the American Association of School Personnel Administrators Award winner. Sheena was recognized with the Human Resource Specialist Support Staff Award for the 2025 school year in Region 6 for excellence in the practice of human capital leadership. This honor recognizes the hard work and best practices of AASPA colleagues in 2025. We are extremely proud to have Sheena on our team. And hats off to Marissa Johnson, Assistant Principal at Duran Middle School. She is one of 15 educators nationwide awarded a Lead for Change Fellowship. The Lead for Change Fellowship is a year-long professional development opportunity supporting educators in cultivating student leadership through meaningful service projects. Fellows receive leadership training and collaborate with a network of educators committed to student empowerment. Congratulations to you, Ms. Johnson. And finally, I am immensely proud to announce that the school district has earned Cognia Systems accreditation. Cognia recognizes schools and districts across the globe that meet rigorous standards focused on productive learning environments, equitable resource allocation, and effective leadership. Cognia accreditation is a rigorous process that focuses the entire school system and its community on the primary goal of ensuring all students can flourish in engaging and equitable learning environments. Earning accreditation from Cognia means that the school system meets Cognia performance standards, and it maintains a commitment to continuous improvement. To do that, we had to pass an internal and an external review. This is monumental, and it is a great achievement for our school district, and I am extremely proud of the work that was done to receive this accreditation. At this time, I would like to welcome Ms. Emily Graham and Ms. Dolores Borden to the podium as they will be facilitating our exchanging of the plates for the upcoming school year. They are the Teacher of the Year and our ISPE representatives.
Good afternoon, board members, Mr. Moss, Dr. Watts, cabinet members, and all who are here today. It has been my honor and privilege to serve as the 2025 District Teacher of the Year. Serving in this role was insightful and invigorating. From the classroom to the boardroom, there is great work happening across our county. One of the highlights is the work accomplished through the Superintendent's Professional Senate, an incredible resource of some of the best school staff across our district. The Senate worked together last year on a number of topics and were well supported by the Superintendent and the Cabinet. I hope to see that meaningful discourse of the Senate continue to play a key role in building connections across the district. I enjoyed having a seat on the horseshoe alongside our elected officials and having a platform to speak on behalf of teachers. Board members, thank you for your warm welcome and support, for coming to speak with the Professional Senate, and for continuing to serve the best interests of our Savannah communities. Over the past year, I've met so many impactful educators and committed staff who give their best self day in and day out, including the 2025 District ISPE, Nurse Dee Borden. To any teachers watching the meeting today, thank you for your hard work day in and day out. You are empowering students to become critical thinkers, to be successful and productive members of their community, and to have the dignity and confidence to lead choice-filled lives. I'm excited to welcome Ms. Jennifer Hughes as the 2026 District Teacher of the Year. This is a unique and inspiring platform, so enjoy it with confidence. It's hard work, but absolutely worth it and an amazing experience. Thank you again for this opportunity to serve, and without further ado, it's time to pass the torch.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dolores Borden, and I just want to let you know that it has been a humbling honor to serve as the Instructional Support Person of the Year. Attending the Board of Education monthly meetings as well as area functions have been very enriching. The Senate meetings are definitely a means for teachers and staff to let their voices be heard. I feel that we did make a difference. Thank you to the very passionate members of the Board of Education, as well as Mr. Wall and Ms. Lisa Wilson for their continued support. Congratulations and well wishes to Officer Hyman on this honorable journey as Instructional Support Person of the Year. This truly is an inspirational experience that I have had, and I really thank you all.
Although Jabari.
Mr. Hediger?
Sir, and moving on in your agenda, of course, we'd like to welcome our Teacher of the Year representative and our Instructional Support Person of the Year representatives, now officially seated at the horseshoe. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We do have one item as an action item for the Board of Education set up in your Board of Education matters. The district and the board have received a charter petition from the REACH charter petitioners. Staff have taken a look at this petition and gone through the process and the timeline for the appropriate review and subsequent recommendation. I'll now turn the podium over to our Deputy Superintendent of Schools to bring you a recommendation for this action item.
Good afternoon. REACH Public School Charter Petition Approval starting in the 26-27 school year. REACH Public Schools submitted a charter petition to open a new startup charter school serving the students, families, and broader community of Savannah-Chatham County. The petition seeks to establish a school beginning in the 26-27 school year. During March 2025, REACH submitted a comprehensive charter petition to the Superintendent and local Board of Education for consideration by the required petition deadline. After careful consideration of the information provided in the application and the accompanying exhibits and ongoing dialogue with the petitioners, the Savannah-Chatham County Public School System Charter Review Committee supports the approval of REACH Public Schools and has recommended to the Board of Education that we endorse the approval of their request at the August 13th, 2025 meeting. We have also detailed a number of reasons in support of this recommendation that were provided in advance via board docs. I do want to highlight the committee recommendations included or were based on deliberations during which time the committee made several observations and arrived at the recommendations below, which are intended to guide the planning and early implementation phases of the charter term. Strengthen internal academic monitoring systems to ensure alignment with the Savannah-Chatham County Public School System performance standards and expectations. Submit a detailed and time-bound board development and training plan prior to the launch of the 26-27 school year. Establish and maintain a proactive collaboration with Savannah-Chatham County Public School Systems departments in areas such as safety, student support services, and accountability, closely monitor student enrollment and staffing to support stable growth and maintain program quality. The Savannah-Chatham County Public School System Administration supports the approval of Reach Public Schools as a new startup charter beginning in the 26-27 school year. Board action is required at this time. Thus, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve Reach Public School for a 5-year charter contract beginning in the 26-27 school year with the conditions noted above.
Thank you. And I have a motion from Mr. Katchmar, seconded by Dr. Bringman. Any discussion?
Yeah, so I'm pleased to hear the recommendation from the superintendent and staff. I'm going to support the recommendation and vote to affirm the recommendation. I want to thank our staff for the thorough and diligent review. The board that's sitting out there, great job on the application process. That was the easy part. Putting stuff on paper is the easy part. Standing up what you put on paper is the hard part. What I will say is please use our board and our staff as a resource. We've been through this before. We've got several operating charters now. We've also voted in the last 20 years or 15 years to shut down charters that were not successful. Learn from their mistakes, learn from the successes of our current charter schools. Communication is the key. Please heed the guidelines that they noted today on areas to strengthen and improve. And don't hesitate to reach out to any of us for guidance. We want you to be successful. We want to build a collaborative relationship. And that takes effort both ways. So congrats. Now dig in.
Dr. Hoskins-Brown.
You don't care? Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. I appreciate and support this recommendation that's coming from the community and in support of staff. I have a couple of comments. It seeks to use a non-traditional approach to work with a group of high-need students in our community, and I think that has a definite value. It reminds me of what Richard Arnold might be if we still had Richard Arnold and matured that approach. One thing that's unique about it that I also appreciate is that it embraces transience of students attending. A lot of models that come to us are like, you're going to come to this charter school and you're going to stay at this charter school. This embraces, hey, you want to catch up a little bit and then go back to your home school and play soccer? Cool, we're for you. We're here for that. And so I'm seeing nodding. So I think that's what I was supposed to get, and you're saying, yeah, I got it. Okay. I don't have really strong concerns. I just had a question and kind of something that drew my attention on the board of directors. You have a really strong board of directors, which I expect is going to grow. And I saw that board members can be dismissed without cause. And I found that concerning. I've not seen that language, and I don't know what one has to do to be on a board and then get dismissed without cause. I don't know whether that means you are raising a minority opinion that people don't agree with, but it just kind of drew my attention that you can just be invited to absent yourself for no reason. So if there's something that I can learn about leadership that makes that necessary, then I'd like to learn that. And what I wasn't sure if I missed was, is the potential location of the facility publicly available, or is...
Yes, it's the Old South University. I believe it's off Montgomery Road, across from Culver's. It's a hamburger place called Culver's, I believe.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I don't know a lot of streets, but I've been to Culver's a couple times. So. I can't answer the question about the board, but I know where Culver's is.
I appreciate you. At least you know to call East Broad Street, and don't call it Broad. Because if you say Broad, then we all know that you're not from here.
I'm not from here, but I'm becoming more and more from here, so I do know not to do that. But yes, that's the location, and it is, as I noted before, the Old South University. And it is my understanding that it is an existing facility that's in place as of now.
Thank you.
Oh, St. Leo's. I know we had St. Leo's. I knew about South. Okay. Well, the old St. Leo's University.
Thank you. Well, again, I think this is a creative model. You have some heavy lifting to do. I admire that you have stepped forward to raise your hand and say, we want to do this hardest of the hard work. And so I wish you success. Thank you.
Dr. Brinkman?
Yes, I will be in support of this as well. Thank you for noticing a deficiency. Oftentimes, there's a perception that we want to split charter schools as one school group and the rest of the public schools as another. And really, we're all public schools. They are all of our children of Savannah-Chatham County. So thank you for seeing that there was a need and wanting to address that need. I truly hope that this is a partnership. And as Mr. Katchmar said, please speak to us. It is amazing how often people will not reach out to us, and we don't find out things until they come to a precipice when a conversation could have been had months before. So please, I know one of you's got my number on speed dial already, so we're good there. You'll find out if you talk to any other charters that I'm big on enrollment numbers. If you watched earlier, I talked about them. You've got an enrollment growth model. Meet it if the need is there. You know, it drives me nuts when we've said, here, take this many students, but you only take 70% of that, but you have a wait list. Yeah, that will rub me the wrong way. So yeah, if there's a need and there's a wait list and you've got seats, fill them, because you have chosen to take on education, but also education for kids that are trying to catch up, that have had troubles. And I applaud you for that, and I hope the best. And as Mr. Katchmar and Dr. Hoskins-Brown said, reach out to us. Use the resources, be a partner, and let's all just help the community grow together. So thank you again for this petition.
Dr. Howard Hall, then Ms. Campbell.
Yes, thank you. If I had the opportunity to read the proposal, it was very comprehensive. But what really caught my attention was IGP, your individualized graduation plan. The minute a student enrolls and enters ninth grade, they will be given a plan with a flexible schedule. So if they are a caregiver, we have a plan for you. If they have a part-time job, we have a plan for you. This is charter, but it looks like alternative education. And that's what it looks like to me, and I really am excited about it. And your name is Reach Charter, so reach out to us. Thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
So I love this. I think this is brilliant. Some things that I am just a little cautious about is the how alternative this feels in some ways, knowing that a lot of our kids need structure at the same time. So some of the, just since we're all voicing some of our concerns up front here, some of the fluid grading system, if you're going to adopt or adapt our code of conduct, you know, and maybe, let's see what else I have here. Hopefully you have all the resources that you need to in like the social worker department, et cetera, where it won't tax our resources at the same time. But by and large, I hope that this succeeds because I think this is exactly what we need here. I think it's an alternative that I've never even heard of proposed. So congratulations on that. That is amazing. And welcome to the district.
I'm thrilled. Thank you for bringing this to us. I echo what a lot of the board members have said. Thank you for bringing us something that we needed. Thank you for filling a hole. I will also echo Mr. Katchmar and, you know, the petitions. I'm not going to say it's easy, but that's when you get into this, it's the easy part. one of the things that everyone who knows me knows that there's one word that I use a lot, and that is accountability. I understand that you will be held accountable. Thank you and welcome. All right. There being no more discussion, all in favor? All right. Welcome to Savannah-Chatham County Public School System.
That concludes your Board of Education matters. Moving on in your agenda to the consent and other matters of today's agenda.
Okay, we're having technical problems up here.
Y'all can go get a drink now if you want.
I'm not noticing who got up first. The lawyer. Okay. All right. All right. I will not accept the motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay. Thank you. And you can come back in, Dr. Howard Hall. Mr. Jackson.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
The first item we have is for EPIC, Specialized Educational Staffing, for teachers and psychologist services, specialized instruction. The Specialized Instruction Department is requesting contract approval for EPIC Special Education Staffing to provide special education teachers and psychologists for psychological services to students to include psychological and educational testing, observations, and consultations with administrators, teachers, and parents. Due to the vacancies we are currently unable to fill for the 2025-26 school year. Services will be provided on an as-needed basis. The cost is based upon current student requirements and is estimated at $216,000 for professional services and $561,470 for teachers, at a total cost of $777,470. The funding source is various grants, federal grants, and state grants. Thus be it resolved, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, that the board approve a contract with EPIC Special Education Staffing to provide special education teachers and school psychologists services for a one-year period for a total cost of $777,470.
Is that a motion? Okay, it's been moved. A second? Oh, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I
Yes,
do
sir.
have just two questions. How was EPIC Special Education Staffing selected?
Ms. Stacy Taylor is going to come forward.
No, sir. And
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll go in and ask the other part of the question while we organize the response. And the reason I ask is that on another part of the agenda, we have something that is close to same dollar amount that we used a bidding process, and for this, there doesn't seem to be evidence of that. I just want to know, how did we decide and why did we not use a bidding process? Like, just want to know.
Yeah, and I'll invite our finance team also to provide some additional guidance. But to my understanding, there were multiple contracts and vendors that were reviewed from previous years. And so we continue to utilize some of those contracted services as part of this process.
So we've used this particular vendor in the past?
Correct.
Okay. And are we in compliance with our bid process to not have used a bid process for this dollar amount?
Yes, from what was given to me from staff, trying to find my notes. This is a vendor I believe we currently use for other services, if I'm not mistaken. But let me clarify that, and I will
Okay,
get the answer to
that would be helpful. I just know we voted on like copier paper for $100,000 that we've bid out. So I just am, wanting to make sure that the public feels comfortable that we're being stewards and things are competitive. So thank you for attention to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? All right, there being no more discussion. All in favor? Thank you very much.
The next item was moved from consent for Ignite Reading PBC as a sole source. The Office of Strategy, Innovation, and Performance does now request board approval for the purchase of one-on-one virtual foundational reading tutoring services from Ignite Reading PBC for the 2025-26 school year. The purchase is proposed as a sole source due to the proprietary research-backed model that is not available through any other vendor or reseller. Ignite Reading provides a Science of Reading aligned one-to-one virtual tutoring program designed to build fluency and automatic word recognition in early readers. Students who participate in this program will receive 15 minutes per day, 5 days a week of individualized instruction delivered via a proprietary platform with certified tutors trained in structured literacy. Staff recommends that the board approve the district-wide virtual tutoring service from Ignite Reading PBC for school year 2025-26. The total annual cost is $250,000. The funding source is the general fund. Thus, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the sole source agreement with Ignite Reading PBC for foundational literacy tutoring services for the 2025-26 school year at a total cost of $250,000.
I'll also add that during the break, you were given a small, short presentation on the tutoring, and the team is prepared to provide answers or clarity on any other questions that you might have.
I'm making the motion.
Been moved and been seconded. Discussion,
Yes.
Dr.
Thank you.
Brown, sorry.
No problem. I asked that this be pulled from the consent agenda because I thought that it was really, really an illumination of the district using innovative techniques to try to address challenges from our littlest learners. And, in reading the application from the Reach Charter School and then reading this part of the agenda, I'm like, we're doing really cool stuff too. And I didn't want it to be buried in the consent. I wanted the community to see that we use our resources to pilot activities that reach young people, young learners where they live, using technology and trying to really address how we meet our literacy standards, with literacy being what we've called our North Star. So I truly, truly appreciate staff getting a request like 12 hours ago to give us some overview of what they were aiming to do, not as criticism, but just really wanting to shine a light on something I thought was positive. So thank you.
To review as the chair, we do have some slides that we can go through now very quickly if you would like to see us
Cover the information.
that was provided.
Quickly, yeah, sure.
Good afternoon again. So quickly, I get that and I will start talking while we wait for the presentation to be shown. But I would like to also take this as an opportunity to the point around the work that we're doing around piloting to invite Shraddha Nandiata, who you may recall came on board a little under a year ago. I think it was at the second day of the retreat was her first day, and actually the work that she does is around strategic initiatives as well as special projects, and this pilot is one of them, and the work that she's doing is cross-functional in nature. A little bit about the high dosage tutoring pilot. It uses high-quality instructional materials, and the model is designed to be done during the instructional day. And what's also unique about it is that the reading tutors that the students would interact with virtually have over 100 hours in professional learning, and associated with the tutors, they also get a dedicated literacy specialist, which is monitoring those students' data and communicating directly with the school leadership around student progress, so that the school leadership is then positioned to make adjustments and support students as needed. What I also want to point out, thinking about innovation, is for me, it checks the strategy box, the innovation box, as well as the performance box. So this is a strategy that we're using to not only advance literacy, but also learn about a program and see if it's working before we scale it. And it reminds me of some of the work that we've talked about related to ROI. And then the other piece is around results. This program, as you can see, has proven results, and I've provided some study information for your review. I've also had the opportunity to speak directly with the Chief Academic Officer in Little Rock, Arkansas. This is a program that they've also used to help increase their reading performance with a subset of schools, and they saw great results. A little bit, I'll have Shraddha, I'm sorry, because I'm trying to go fast. I'll have Shraddha talk a little bit about the key features of Ignite.
Hi, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of the board. It's been 355 days exactly since joining the district. I am counting. So I'm excited to share a little bit more about high dosage tutoring with you. What is unique about this particular program is that it is daily one-on-one tutoring. So students get the same instructor consistently to do that 15 minutes of instruction with them. It's only 15 minutes a day. And the tutors are trained through Ignite's proprietary curriculum. A lot of them are former teachers, so there is a huge benefit there. And there is consistent and regular progress monitoring. So schools are receiving data reports from that literacy coach every 14 days. We are, as a cross-functional team, planning to check in every 14 days to assess that progress. And we're trying to assess scalability here, but it is a pretty scalable program because it is virtual. So this can happen during class time. This can happen during the dig time where students are receiving small group instruction. And so it is a highly scalable program. Oops, sorry. The way we are talking about selecting schools is looking at both AMIRA 24-25 end-of-year assessments and iReady end-of-year 24-25 assessments. So we've looked holistically at the school, at all the elementary and K-8 schools, and kind of rank the need based on where they landed in terms of the number of students who are 2 or more grade levels below on both these assessments. So we're trying to triangulate some data here. We are also looking for 4 comparison schools that are similar demographically and have similar results on AMIRA and iReady. In terms of selecting students from within those schools that will receive treatment, we're looking for students who are 2 or more grade levels below in their AMIRA beginning of year assessments for this school year. So we're waiting to start the intervention until after all students take AMIRA, and we have their beginning of year scores. And this will only be for 2nd and 3rd graders. What is exciting also about high dosage tutoring is the opportunity to strengthen our collaboration and our data orientation. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a project team, cross-functional project team, including principals and including the dedicated literacy specialist from the vendor, who will check in twice a month on implementation and progress. There is also a great opportunity to collaborate with some of our charter partners who are also implementing Ignite this year. Susie King Taylor and Savannah Classical are both using the program, so it'll be great to do some of that collaboration. And we are using an ROI lens in this work. So our Director of Research and Evaluation will be part of the project team, and we're thinking ahead about quantifying ROI and also some other innovative practices using ROI as we consider scaling.
So that's a quick hit, high-level overview. If there are additional questions, we're happy to answer.
Just thank you very much. I really hope for a couple of bulleted statements about the program, and so what you put together was far beyond my expectations, and I think it really conveys to others why it was interesting enough that I wanted to raise it up, so thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Howard Hall.
Yes, thank you for providing this information.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just wish it could be more than 100. But I know it's a pilot, and I look forward to seeing the outcomes of this. And I appreciate that you are targeting second grade, because in many cases, the third grade teachers, they take the hit when the students aren't reading on grade level at the end of third grade. So by incorporating second grade, that's a wonderful target. And I'm just looking forward to see how this pans out and review the data.
Likewise, and we look forward to bringing you updates. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Hang on.
Yeah, I just want to comment that I hope comparisons are able to be made so that we constantly see the difference between children who are exposed to this and those who we cannot or have not.
Yes.
So that we see in real time what's happening.
Right. And what's also unique about the schools that won't be participating, that will be used for comparison, we're going to lift up what programs they are using so that we can put on the table what's actually working, because that's really the core of what we want to answer. It's what's working and for who. And once we kind of crack that code, then that positions us to be able to scale.
Okay. And I have another challenge for you. The children who are not able, to attend our pre-Ks, all the 4-year-olds who are out there who we cannot enroll. Look for a pilot that we could do some sort of technology with them at their homes, so that by the time they get to us, they're not so far behind because we haven't been able to provide something for them.
That is interesting. Shrada and I just locked eyes. We do have something, but we are trying to be narrow and go deep, so we have not advanced that to the broader leadership, but there is something, and Shrada is probably not locking eyes, probably rolling her eyes. She's like, we have to do it, and I'm like, wait. So there are things that are on the horizon, specifically as we think about the next iteration of our strategic plan.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Did I read in here too that it was 100 students that you're doing this for specifically?
Yes.
And then when we get an update, is there a time frame maybe in the middle of the year that we could assess its effectiveness and see if maybe we can make way in the budget to push this to some other schools that maybe have some?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
As Strata mentioned, we will be monitoring on a 14-day cycle, and we didn't have a lot of time to talk about the cross-functional team, but we're from the innovation side, but it's really our partners in the Office of School Leadership who will serve as champions, and we will be there to support them. Pending approval today, we will meet with them next week to begin the kickoff. We've also had a chance to be knee to knee and elbow to elbow with my colleagues, Dr. Raymond Barnes, as well as Derek Butler, to plan this. And so upon approval, we are positioned to move forward, and we will monitor. And if it's something that we can scale and is making a difference, we certainly will come back with that and discuss what our next step should be.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Again, thank you.
Okay, there being no more discussion, all in favor?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now the financials.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
The financials that were in your packet this month is for end of fiscal year, June 30th. At this point, we're at 100%. We were at 100% of the school year and the fiscal year. For Fund 100, now general fund revenues, our local property taxes, we were at 105% of budget, which is higher than last year, when we were at 104.7%. Our total general fund actual revenues were at 101.8% of the budget. It's a little bit lower than the year before when we were at 103%. Our general fund expenditures, actual expenditures for teachers, we're at 101% of budget. And other support salaries were at 93.3% of what was expected. Total general fund actual expenditures, we ended at 93.67% of the budget, which is a little bit higher than the year before. And remembering on all of this, we are spending the next month or two, finalizing all of our entries and getting ready for our year-end audit. So this is where we are as of right now. We have two other funds that we wanted to bring before you today, and that's Fund 560, our pre-K program. Fund 560, we're currently showing a loss of $943,000. The fund ended FY24 with a deficit of $342,000. And then the $943 for this year. So board action is requested as an agenda item for this month's meeting to transfer $1,072,932 from the general fund to clear the deficit. The other fund that we have is Fund 600, School Nutrition Program. Fund 600 is currently showing a net loss of $5.9 million. Additional entries were going to be maybe posted during the year-end closing, but the budgeted $3.1 million operating transfer from general fund that was budgeted has been recorded. Board action is also required or requested at this month's meeting to transfer the $5.9 million from the general fund to prevent the fund deficit. Have any questions on any of our?
Dr. Brinkman.
Yeah, and this is just a continued question from budget time and doesn't truly have to be 100% answered today, but will be, I'm sure, maybe a topic at our workshop, but definitely in the October, November, December moving forward budget committees that I need to schedule. I see here this is the end of our year, correct? That for some reason the state didn't give us as much as we thought we were going to get from them, correct, based on QBE? Is that how, am I reading that correctly? That top line where it says that we are only at 92, like that we did not get as much, or we just haven't spent it?
Now, which fund are you speaking?
State QBE, that first line, number 10, account 10. Yeah, the first page, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, line 10, first page, state QBE, original appropriation, 196 million, revised budget, 196, but year-to-date is actually 180, so we're at a negative 15 million.
Correct.
Make that make sense to me. We haven't spent, we still have 15 million that we haven't spent, correct? Or no?
You're speaking of the shortage in revenue for the state QBE, correct?
That's what, yes, that to me looks like we had a budget of 196 and we've only gotten 180. Correct. Are they going, is the state going to give us the rest of that? Or is that the state actually shorted us? Am I?
No, you're comparing the budget to our actual. We budgeted the numbers a year ago compared to the actuals, and we just did not reach what was
Like on FTE?
Correct.
So that's how that changed. Okay,
Correct.
bingo. Thank you. That makes complete sense, and I knew that y'all would, yep. So there is going to be some difficulty always knowing what that number's going to be. Just like if we drop down a couple lines later, line 13, local property taxes, where you also stated that last year we were at 104%, this year we're at 105%. If you go back a couple of years, we're at 101, 100.8. If you actually go look at them, we're always, as I stated in a couple budget meetings ago, and y'all made a nice chart for me that really didn't show me what I thought I had remembered, we always collect more than what we budget. At least in my mind that can look back a couple years, and I'll do some homework tonight and actually go look at every June budget financials, and I believe we always collect more property taxes than we budgeted, and that's what I had stated many budget meetings ago. We have to kind of play the game of knowing that we are going to have some flexibility in that state QBE number because it's not always a given. But I still think that moving into next year's budget cycle, we can start looking at how we have chronically over-collected property taxes and figure out what we truly, as a board, want our fund balance to be on those times where we collect more. And maybe we can have a bigger, a bigger discussion about how we have to buffer for not always knowing how much QBE funding we're going to get. And I can see how that washes a little bit, but at the property line, we do collect more than what we've budgeted.
We've had that privilege over the past few years. It has not always been that way.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at least the
If I
last
can-
5.
Yeah, if I can just chime in, it's probably been the last maybe 3 or 4. And honestly, we give most of the credit to the tax commissioner's office. The additional revenue that you're seeing for property taxes is not based upon the tax digest. We haven't been able to collect all the revenue for the digest that we get. What we've been collecting and what their office have been good at is collecting delinquent taxes over the last 2 or 3 years, and that's what the difference is. They have been on it.
I got
So,
you there.
but we've made that adjustment in this year's budget to reduce the amount of delinquent taxes and increase the budget for on-time property taxes.
And
this
thank
year.
you, Ms. Jackson. But it still means at the end of the day that we are collecting more property taxes than what we budgeted for, thus building a fund balance. And this is just me priming the pump, not to answer today, we'll have to decide what we as a board think that fund balance should be. But one of the talking points is over collection in that line. When I see that as a taxpayer, you collected more than you budgeted, which gives you more money. That's all.
Ms. Campbell, and then Dr. Hoskins-Brown, and then Dr.
One thing that I noticed about this too is I did go back, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and there was one year that we came up a little shorter than even, mostly collecting more from, as you said, delinquencies, encumbrances, et cetera, but having the extra revenue. One thing, another piece of it though, I think where we're coming up with all this money to put into our unreserved fund balance each year is that we also seem to overestimate what we're going to need. Like, and tell me if I'm reading this wrong. So at the very bottom, total general, go across, under available budget, it says 51.9 million. Okay, so that's how much extra we have. Okay. So when we had our budget meetings, I looked through it, but we were pretty busy back there in between meetings. But what was it that we said we were carrying over at the last meetings into this year?
We were projecting around, at the end of the year, probably around between 30 and 35 million. After, we still have some expenditures that will take place for the months of July and August. That's not on this report, but we're looking at around 30 to 35 million. But that was the basis that we used for the FY26 process. That's why we looked at a lot of reductions and looked at increasing the vacancy factor. Because if you look at some of the account lines where there's money left, a lot of it's in salaries.
Okay, I want us to be more mindful of that because I went back to the same years on the same page for the last 6 years, and it seems that we have a standard of being roughly 6 to 9% above You know, like from conservative budgeting, meaning that we're conservatively holding on to what we think we may need, but it isn't getting spent, it's going into unreserved fund balance. And then when we want to roll it back or roll it back, edge it back a little, we're saying, oh, but we want to save it just in case, but we're just going to add more to it at the end of the year. So I hope we continue to cut and make sure that we're not having this happen, and that the cuts that we made were enough. So we can
One
talk
thing
about that
that-
more at finance.
If I can interject, one thing that has been a blessing and a savings for us over the past few years has been the CARES and the ARP monies. Those monies finished September last year. So where you're seeing some of your savings here over the past 3 or 4 years is because we had the CARES and the ARP monies that we were spending as opposed to the general fund. So we need to be real mindful of that when we start talking about cutting and cutting back, because some of those ideas and plans that we put into place using those funds, we're bringing them over to the general fund going forward. So we need to be careful with that also.
Okay.
Dr. Hoskins-Brown, then Dr. Hall.
Thank you. I'm so glad I'm not the only one asking questions about financials this month. This is so awesome. I'd like to support what was just said about moving things over, because I think one of the moving things over to the general fund, because we haven't been spending them. What we in a philosophically ideal world, what's supposed to happen is the grant money coming in is supposed to augment what you would have used the general fund on. So it would have been general fund money and then grant money for the enhancement for the outcome that the grant was supposed to do. But what we have done as a district for a very long time is to supplant general fund money and say, well, we're not going to spend that because we have this grant money. And so they've been really kind of fake savings. And we see the consequences in our outcomes when you look at learning outcomes, end of course, tests, state assessments, because we didn't double stack what those young people needed. We substituted it with grant money, which wasn't the reason I raised my hand, but I really liked this discussion and I wanted to contribute that. I have one question that came from the last discussion. Don't we spend more per student than QBE?
Yes.
Okay,
Definitely.
so if we spend more per student via QBE, those numbers on line 10 aren't really a good measure of the exact cost, and they're getting absorbed on these other funds on other pages. They may be getting absorbed in other lines in the general fund, but we're spending more than we are getting from the state anyhow, and often we're doing it from these special funds or from federal funds. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you for your responses to all my questions that I sent very late last night, and I'm not going to ask all of them in the meeting, and I know there's some of them that you're still working on. I'd like to ask that on this first page of the financials, that Fund 300 be listed, or at least 300 series includes these things in capital, because none of those are on there, and a lot of our transactions are coming out of the 300 fund. So I'd like those listed on the fund listing as well. I'd also like to ask that we please discontinue the use of various accounts when requesting board action. Please don't say, we're going to transfer money from various accounts and it's going to add to 2 million. Please let us see all of the account numbers.
I mean, if I can just chime in, for that particular item or items we're about to read, when we say various account, we're literally talking about maybe 1,000 accounts. So it is truly various different types of accounts. So it's not just all salaries like we've used before on some. This is truly could be salaries, supplies, software.
So maybe
it's truly
even
various accounts.
a descriptor or something more than various, because various is not auditable or tractable. It makes me itch. So please, something more specific. And then here is really the core of why the various account term is bothersome for me, is that we're at the end of the year, and that's what we've all focused on as board members, is that these numbers are kind of the finite numbers for spending for this year, with the exception of the accounts that all of the encumbrances have not registered yet, like the title counts where we we're still waiting for reimbursement and that sort of thing. But for some of these others, like the general fund, if it was going to be spent by the end of the fiscal year, it's been spent. Those are kind of real numbers. What I want to know is, how can we see where the unspent funds from this fiscal year go once we go into our new year? Because we have our new year with the budget with all the line items, and those numbers are defined by what we speculated and planned needed to be the budget. And then we end this year and we have several numbers that people will see, just as Dr. Brinkman showed. We have several places where there's $12 million left in benefits. There's $2 million left in salaries because of vacancies. But there are other places you can go through each fund and see where 100% of what was budgeted was not spent. Unspent funds becomes a black box that we transfer from for the next few months. And I don't mind doing that because it's carryover funds. We either collected it from grants that they're not making us pay back, or we collected it from the taxpayers and we're spending it in their interest. I just want better information on how much is unspent. I don't want to learn what was unspent in this year, 25, only in June next year, when the superintendent does the reconciliation and says, this is how much carryover we have. I want to know it earlier as we're making decisions with that money. And it doesn't have to be like every single line, but we need better information about that, because those are kind of large sums of money. So that's my biggest request, and that's the origin of all my little small questions about the different fund numbers from the email I sent.
Okay. And we're going to try to, at least the general fund, get those numbers to you as we start with the finance workshops. By October, we will have a roundabout idea of what's left in the general fund. The money that's left in the general fund basically goes in the fund balance. Now, as far as the other funds, for most of the other funds, federal grants, we should not have a rollover because most of them are reimbursable. So we get reimbursed for the money after we spent. So they should not have anything that roll over. We
So
just
that
don't
gets
spend
lost.
it. No, it remains at the state, and the state will reallocate it back to us, hopefully. That's what we hope for, but it doesn't go into our
So
fund
now I'm
balance.
breaking
We
it
don't
all
keep
over
it.
again.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, that's what makes this kind of a program and a fiscal question. Because as program managers, like, we have grants that only 66% of a grant was spent. So what you said is that other third is sitting up at the state. It's not been used. We may or may not get it.
If it's a single-year grant, then we have to wait for it to be reallocated. Some of the grants may be a multi-year grant, so we will rebudget it for the following year as part of the next year's budget. So come October, November, you're going to see some revised budgets for some of the grants because they're for more than one period. But we have some state and federal grants that are just 1 year. If we don't spend it that year, there's a balance that we haven't requested reimbursement for. The state will look at the balances statewide for all school districts, then they will reallocate it as a carry over or carry forward back to the district. But we have to go through that process with the state.
I understood. Okay, well, I will yield the floor back to the chair just by asking. I think that the superintendent you look like you understand kind of what my concerns are in terms of unused money.
I was actually sending you an email just to clarify. I think I understand, but I'll
Okay, we can talk some more. Basically, I want to know, how are we managing understanding what we have left over in real time and making sure that people who are supposed to spend the money are spending it
Yes.
on what we're supposed to be spending it on, and not having no action, leftover money, and young people that could have been enriched.
Yeah, indeed. That's one of our KPIs, so we're working on that.
Was the second half of your question, where do those overages go if they're not spent?
It was, and that was a question. I kind of backed off of it because I don't necessarily need to know where everything went. What I really want to know is from last year, how much was unspent? And what are we going to do with it? And can we know that earlier than the month before we approve the budget? Okay.
And if I can add here also, these numbers for a lot of your federal grants are through June 30th. some of the grants go through September 30th, so we still have a couple of months' worth of transactions that's after June 30th, but those grants don't end till September 30th. So you've got some more time in there to spend that money from last year, from this budget.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Howard Hall, then Ms. Hall, Ms. Campbell.
Yes, my question segues pretty much into Dr. Hoskins-Brown's, and it's what is the current status of our overall federal funds, particularly Title I. We know that the fiscal year ends September 30th. Items ordered should be received before September 30th. So if you have a new principal at a Title I school that's left with a budget that was not properly expended, now they're scrambling trying to expend those funds. So my question is, what is the overall, what is the current status that you know of our federal budget? Because it rolls into the state year, but it ends a month later. And if there's a significant amount of funding, that's poor managing, because you shouldn't be scrambling trying to expend federal funds in September.
I'm glad you asked that question, because I asked that of our accounting department this morning. They said that they will have all of the numbers finalized with these grants by August 26th. So they are finalizing those grants this month.
Yeah. And we're pushing the grant directors to be more aggressive on their spending. If the principal is not aware of the budget, you're familiar, most of Title I, they have these coordinators that are there to assist them. So we rely heavily on them because they're the experienced ones dealing with budgets. So we rely on that team to help us out as well.
And I'll just add that the school's office has to be looped into this process because they own the principal evaluation. So yes, we have people that work in different departments that support how this funding is used, but at the end of the day, the way the principal is evaluated comes from the school's office. So that is a piece that they will be looking at on a regular basis with the finance team. When we see funds are not being used, that's a signal to us it's a coaching conversation at first, and then it can move into an accountability conversation after.
So I'd like to chime in to add more clarity and build on what Dr. Watts has shared. So this past year, we took a more intentional look at the spin down process happening at each school, and principal supervisors work directly with the principals to create a spin down plan to ensure that we can spend more of the funds directly on students for student performance. So they actually created their Title I spin down plan. For this upcoming year, we saw some gray areas where we had to now look at it even more intentionally. So that is built now into the principal supervisor coaching of principals. So every month they will be analyzing the spend down plan in the budgets and holding principals accountable to spending the money according to what was already identified in the school improvement and a Title I spending plan.
The principals also are assigned Title I program managers.
That's correct.
And I'm really hoping that they are assisting those schools properly to assist with the expenditures.
Paul?
Whenever I get the sense that there's some money available, I start thinking about early childhood, because I really believe that all the ills that we face when the children are in grades 2, 3, and 4, a lot of them, if we could have addressed them when those children were 3 and 4 years old, we wouldn't see them. So, Ms. Taylor, here's another challenge. I got a call from a parent whose child had matriculated at Acorn at Gould, but there was no space for that child in the pre-K program there. They ended up on a waiting list. So if we have some money that can be used, please use all of your creative efforts to look at our pre-K programs. Can we expand and add a couple more pre-K programs? Can we expand and add some more 3-year-old ACORN programs, because all that's going to do is help us out and save us money when those children get older and we talk about having to retain them a year. And, think about retention, the cost of retention. So anything that you find, Ms. Taylor, at that early childhood level that can be expanded with some of the money that is not spent, rather than it going into, these nebulous funds, please look at that to see what we could do.
I want to make sure, for Little Acorns, we can't use state money. It's philanthropically funded, so we've got to find a creative way to fund that program. But 4-year-old, but pre-K we can, yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Along with what Dr. Hoskins-Brown was asking for, as far as finding out where we are in these different funds with grant money, as far as the local property taxes goes, I'm talking just in the general fund again. Any chance we can get, since we estimated 30 to 35 million, I guess that was going to be left over, and now we see it's almost 52 million. Can we get a tally of what is in our unreserved fund balance? Because I'm assuming this money is going to go there. Is that right? Okay. That would be good, because I think if we keep doing this year after year, when we could have rolled it back, you get where I'm going. Okay.
I have a question. So in your presentation, there were 2 requests that you guys had for money from fund balance?
General fund,
Correct.
yeah.
Okay, one was for nutrition?
School nutrition, and then the
Maintenance.
pre-K.
Maintenance side.
Okay, yes, so that was, I guess my question was, in nutrition, why were we, well, how do we overspend?
Salaries?
Okay.
Or overspend is due to salaries, is that correct?
Can I help jump in right here? So,
Yes, please.
yeah, so I have had the opportunity to analyze the school nutrition revenue. And the challenge here that, in Megan's opinion, was the actual amount of money that we realized. So when we set our budget for revenue, we set it at about $33 million. That was too high for what could be realized. So we need to reduce the actual expected amount from the federal side and the local. We are going to do a baseline with CEP, because this is changing how much we're bringing in for 90 days, do an assessment, and then as needed, ask for a budget change to make sure that the federal is a realistic projection, and if we need to make any adjustments on the local or the transfers, make that at that time.
And the other was for the K program? So do I need 2 separate motions for that?
Those are on your agenda,
they are
sir.
on the
We're
agenda.
still in
Okay,
the
good.
financial
Good.
reporting section, yeah.
All right. All right.
Okay, I'll try to get us back on schedule. The next item, 9.02, bid 25-13, police uniforms, accessories, and body armor. I'm going to not read all of the items. They've been posted to board docs and distributed to board members in advance to the meeting. We had 3 responses to this bid. Staff recommends the award be made to the lowest responsible and responsible bidder, meeting specifications and providing the lowest cost. So the actual bid was divided up to the 3 bidders based upon the supplies. Thus, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve award of bid 25-13 for police uniforms, accessories, and body armor to A1 Uniforms, Smyrna Police Distributors, and GT Distributors Incorporated, and an at an estimated cost of $1,097,652 for 1 year with the option to renew for 2 additional 1-year periods.
Moved. Anyone second? About a second. Oh, sorry, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Anyone? All right. There being no more discussion, all in favor?
Okay, the next item, 9.03, is just a contract extension for food products and distribution services. Staff is requesting approval for a ratification of a contract extension for Williams Institutional Food at the same terms and conditions for the period of July 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 at an estimated cost of $4,934,667. The extension will allow for review and evaluation of the new project solicitation. Thus, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the ratification to extend the contract for bid 22-54 food products and distribution services to the firm of Williams Institutional Foods Incorporated for the period July 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 at an estimated cost of $4,934,667.
Have a motion? Been moved? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
The next item, 9.04, is a budget amendment and operating transfer to the school nutrition program. As we talked about earlier, staff recommends now request an operating transfer in the amount of $5,900,000 from the general fund in order to prevent a fund balance deficit in the school nutrition fund. The transfer will come from various accounts in the general fund to include salaries, supplies, software and equipment, to a contribution to other funds. It's going to an operating transfer into a revenue account in the school nutrition fund. Thus, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve an operating transfer in the amount of $5,900,000 from the general fund to the school nutrition fund for fiscal year 2025, along with the corresponding budget amendment.
Been moved, seconded. Any discussion? Dr. Bringman.
Thank you for this. I know, and please, no one in budget, no one in district, no one in SNP take this at all negatively. School nutrition is never going to be a moneymaker. It used to be weird in our budget, and we acted like it should break even every year. It probably shouldn't even break even the way that funding is allocated for it. But with us transitioning to a community eligibility program, which I 100% support, I still think we should probably spend a little bit of time just to see financially what that change created. I'm gonna be okay with the number because it's food for all, but it just, in stewards of funding, would like to know if it created a large budgetary difference between how we used to do it. And I know that's got so many moving pieces because now we've been able to change some staffing and there's positives there that aren't financially, like the lines are moving faster. So I don't know, but some way to report on those effects because there's, yeah.
Your baseline.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else? All right, all in favor? Okay.
Okay, the next item, 9.05, is just a budget transfer within specialized learning. The specialized learning department is requesting a budget transfer to cover the cost of speech language pathologist professional services contract account line under the department. Funds will be transferred from vacant SLP account lines under the special ed program to that are not being charged. All charges for SLP professional services for the schools will be charged under the Department 275. Again, this is transferring funds from vacant positions and their respective benefits to a professional services line within the department to pay for professional services. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the budget transfer above in the amount of $2,356,570 to speech language pathologist professional services account line under the SPED department.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Yes, Mr. Catchmark.
So I'm going to support this, but I just want to highlight this issue because last year and the year before, I raised questions about our salary scale for speech language pathologists, noted that private sector was paying them on a different scale, and we were losing people, and now we're spending $2.4 million to contract out for services. So let's take a look at our salary scale and make the adjustment if we need to make it to keep people to recruit and retain.
May I respond for a second, Mr. Catchmark? With Evergreen, there was an assessment done, you're correct, between last year and this year. We have made a change by now having them categorized as a certified professional, just as the school psychologist and behavior analyst, and I think there's an audiologist. So we have made a change. We'll see the impact of it, but it is a change from what you recall as far as where the speech language pathologists were.
So I remember, and maybe it was at retreat, but we had a lot of discussion about speech language pathologists, and I remember Dr. Bringman had a suggestion.
Georgia Southern. I'm meeting with him Thursday.
Oh, great. Yeah, that was more on the system level, yeah.
So stay tuned. We're working on it.
I can tell you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any more discussion? All in favor? Dr. Bring? All right. Okay.
Item 9.06, a budget transfer and amendment for facility upgrades, modifications, and equipment in Fund 307 and 308. The Division of Operation Long-Range Facility Plan has identified additional repairs, modification, and equipment upgrades that will be provided for district sites. The Division of Finance would like to use accumulated funds from savings associated with various salaries, vacancies, and benefits to support this action. Transferring $5.5 million from the general fund, $4 million to Fund 308 for operations, and $1.5 million to Fund 307 to purchase equipment on behalf of the Food Services Department. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve an annual operating transfer to Fund 308, various project accounts for deferred maintenance, and to Fund 307 for school nutrition equipment.
Second, any discussion? Mr. Catchmark.
I'll just note that we got a more detailed list of some of the funding where this money is going to go. So it's not just, we're not just throwing money at an account without a plan.
Yeah, and I do want to point out in the regular operating budget, right now we budget about $4.5 million for preventive maintenance and repairs. We do have budgets in East Plus for kind of long-range projects, but most of the immediate needs, things that did not make the list, the East Plus 5 list 2 years ago, are the things that break and that we need to repair that happens every other month. So these funds are used to pay for those type of expenditures, the things that happen from year to year. The $4.5 million, and this seems like a lot of money, but most of the time by April or May, maintenance and capital projects have spent most of that money doing repairs in schools. Those things, as I mentioned one day in cabinet, if it's man-made, it will break or come apart. So they use these funds to do most of the emergency type repairs and unscheduled project repairs in the schools.
Ms. Hall?
Dr. Watts, did you say that you were going to speak to this more specifically at the CIC meeting? The whole facilities situation, repairs needed?
How we're going to address that moving forward.
Okay.
So that we're not discovering these things that need to be fixed, and we can handle them more proactively.
Okay.
So we're not having to do what we're doing right now.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking. All right, thank you.
Dr. Hoskins-Brown?
Thank you. A lot of my concerns about our timeliness of assessing issues I've made in previous comments. I'm not going to repeat those. And I like that Mr. Jackson talked about, typically we would address this in April and in May. And so my concern is, when we are doing the assessment and discovering these things. We just approved our budget over the summer. These are the kind of things that I'm expecting is being detected during walkthroughs over the summer. And so, but the superintendent has heard my cries on that, and is going to look into it, and I'm satisfied with that. The only thing I would like to address is it's just my own personal philosophy on how we're calling these funds. We have at the top of this document that Division of Finance would like to use the accumulated funds from savings associated with salary vacancies and benefits to support this action. And I think I mentioned this to some of my colleagues earlier this year. I really want us to stop calling this savings, because this isn't savings. Someone paid for us not fully filling these slots. Some teachers worked extra hours and didn't get paid overtime because they had to cover the needs of the young people that needed to be taught while the vacancies were there. There were little people who had substitutes for a whole year, and they paid in lack of progress because they didn't have a real teacher. So this wasn't a savings, and it's a way that we should not refer to it, because people put in blood and sweat all year doing the extra work that weren't compensated because we're using these salaries, and we can think about them a little differently, and we can think about how we could have spent it. We could have spent it on aggressive headhunting. We could have spent it on incentives to bring in people. We could have spent it on recruitment.
Or professional services.
Or professional services. But I'm just very mindful that somebody worked real hard because these vacancies existed, and I would be offended if I were them and heard this listed as savings, because this is not savings. Thank you.
So noted.
Anyone else? Ms. Campbell?
Is it, did I hear this correctly this year, that pre-K and K students are going to be counted by the state?
Counted by the state in QBE.
They are on the facility side. We are now going to get funding for the pre-K students on the facility side. I don't know about the other side.
Well, they do not use pre-K for QBE, if that's your question.
Okay, but we will receive more funding for them from the state than before for pre-K?
The pre-K
Those
is a
facilities.
grant, and it's funded from Bright from the start, which comes from the lottery. So I think we're going to receive some additional funding from Bright from the start, but that's not QBE funding.
Okay, so
that's your question.
I guess my question is, if we have any underutilized spaces in elementary schools like we did
Right.
at Bloomingdale, where we could,
Yes.
is that something we should start thinking about in line with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome,
we
I
have
love
to
that. And then we
identify
have
the space and
more pre-K
make the
space.
grant application to the state.
Awesome, thank you.
However, with our ability to recruit and retain the teachers, I don't want to have classrooms that we open up to kids and we can't fill the vacancies, because then it just.
Ms. Hall?
Dr. Watts, you're thinking in terms of pre-K teachers' salaries that we have traditionally made the difference in pay ourselves?
Yes.
There is a compensation difference, because we do add, and I won't know the specific number, Mr. Ray will know that. But I'm also just referring to the workforce to fulfill those needs, because when you add classrooms, you're adding a teacher, and if we can't find the teachers to fill those positions, then you just have a classroom full of kids with no teacher and you get into this vacancy factor thing, it's a cycle.
But our commitment is still always that we're going to pay our pre-K teachers
Oh, absolutely.
what the others make.
There
So
is
it's
no
just
change in that.
finding.
I just don't want to scale pre-K
Yeah.
classrooms faster than I can find the talent for those classrooms.
Okay.
Right,
And maybe like, we can make that a special recruitment arm, looking just for that perfect person who
It will be
wants to.
difficult to say just for, because we have so many other vacancies that need to be filled. But if I am correct, and Mr. Butler, you can correct me, didn't we add 2 pre-K classrooms this year? So we're just trying to scale slow so that we
Yeah.
can meet the workforce need. But did we
Yes, two new pre-K classrooms, one at Godley and at New Hampstead K-8.
Okay, and Mr. Butler, did we have excessive problems trying to staff those 2? Were we able to easily find pre-K teachers for that, or we had to really, go to Montana or somewhere and recruit?
No, so currently we only have 1 pre-K vacancy, teacher vacancy, and 2 paraprofessionals.
I see. All right, I just want to always reiterate, whatever we can do when they're 4 years old is going to pay off for us when they're 8 and 10 years old, so, but thank you for that.
And we need a funder for our 3-year-olds, because we will run out of funds for our Acorns program this year.
Mr. Morse, that's so, just think about that. A kid goes to a 3-year-old program and learns everything that we have to offer, and then, there's no continuity, so we lose all that effort, so.
All right, any more discussion? No more discussion? All in favor?
Item 9.07, East Plus 4, Georgetown K-8, J.E. Dunn Construction. This particular item is setting the guaranteed maximum price for the contract for this particular project. It's been established at $29,887,983. It's broken down in the chart that's in the attached agenda item. The contract is fully funded, but no budget transfers are needed. Staff have reviewed the GMP proposal and now recommend board approval. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the GMP of $29,887,983 for RFP C25-05 CMR Services for Georgetown K-8 renovations to J.E. Dunn Construction Company.
Been moved, seconded, discussion. Dr. Howard, I'm going to start with you, Dr. Howard Hall.
I just had a quick question. Are these renovations expected to span 1 or 2 years?
The actual project itself,
The Georgetown project is expected to be 1 year. 1 year.
Expected or will be?
I'm going to say expected, but we are staying on top of our vendors. We want to do it right. So we do acknowledge that there are some things that end up delaying us when we find unexpected surprises, but our goal is 1 year.
Okay. Dr. Brigman?
Outside of Forces of Nature, which was filmed here in Savannah, the plan is 1 year away from, yes, the Lion's Den. Could I please have next week at CIC the actual plans? Like what that site is going to look like, because we did have some community engagement with some of those, and I've expressed them some to Cogdell, and I've expressed them some to staff, but I just wanted to make sure before we start tearing out things that people are going to get worried about, to see them one last time. So I look forward to that next Tuesday. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
It's a quick question. I think this question may be for Mr. Ray. On the conversation of construction, when we look at architects and what we spend throughout the year on different projects, How many architects do we have employed through our campus, and how many openings do we have?
Very good question. I am not sure on the, I'd have to get back with you on the architects. I know we have at least one architect, I believe. 0. So no architects right now, but I think we've only advertised for the one that we have. Is that correct, Mr. Bartra? Yes. So there's one position right now that we have, and it's vacant at this point.
So has it been out for a while, or is there a new post?
I'll have to check on that. I just don't have that answer at this moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think according to staff, it's been posted for a couple of times. It's just hard to fill the position.
Hard to fill it. Is it due to, you think it's due to our salary recommendation, or?
Yes.
Okay.
According to staff, yes.
Okay, we got you.
Just being honest.
Thank you. Okay.
No more questions or discussion? All in favor?
And the last item, 9.08, is the budget operating transfer for the pre-K program in the amount of $1,072,932 from the general fund. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the amendment of the general fund 100 budgeted expenditures and pre-K budgeted revenues by $1,072,932 as shown in the above table.
Been moved? Seconded? Any discussion?
Can Mr. Butler tell us where the 2 new pre-K programs are located?
Oh, he did. I'm sorry. Maybe you didn't hear. Godly.
Yeah, Godly K-8 and New Hampstead K-8.
Okay, all right. So, and the pre-K program at Winter Forest High School, that's in full swing with the new building and all? Everything's set for those children?
That's correct.
Okay.
More discussion? All in favor? All right. Thank you very much. We will now have have a few people that have signed up for appearances today. I will remind you that you have 3 minutes. And first we have Ms. Angelisa Bryant.
To Dr. Watts and all board members, good afternoon. My name again is Angelisa Bryant. I am here as a parent who believes our district works best when we are transparent, consistent, and committed to fairness for all families. Transparency is not optional. And family engagement must be more than a slogan on a policy sheet. You cannot promote family engagement while quietly restricting it. For months, I have sought answers about incomplete open records responses and unclear justifications for restrictions placed on my ability to advocate for my child. Parents deserve clear communication, not shifting explanations. We all know retaliation in any form towards any student, parent, staff member must be part of this district's culture. Our children are watching us. They see whether our actions match our words. They see whether we stand for fairness or look away. Because when transparency is optional, trust is impossible. And we must uphold the values our children deserve. We all are educated in different ways here. You are here for all 36,000 children. How easy for us all to forget
how we arrive where we sit still. Let us work together. We must come together. Our children again is watching. I ask you again. I've come a long way, but I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to give up, because there are children that I see that need advocates to represent them. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll be back until that door. Maybe one day I'll be sitting at this table to continue the growth to help our children.
Thank you. Mr. Raymond Watson.
Good afternoon. You would think this will get easier. First off, welcome to a new school year. As most of you know, I'm Raymond Watson. I teach third grade at New Hempstead K-8. I've been coming here, and I want to start this year off with first saying thank you for getting us ready for the school year. And I also want to come in and start with New Year and say that yes, I come up here and I express thoughts, and I express that I believe that teachers should be respected and empowered, and that our students should deserve the best. But I want to make sure that it's clear that I'm here to also communicate and have dialogue with each and every one of you, as far as like what I believe, what teachers are saying that could improve our district. I'm not here just to come up here and trash us in public. I've seen I did that before, and I apologize. So I'm going to start this year by saying that, I'm going to speak today and just talk about that everybody will receive an email, because I want to have, we're like a family. You don't want to air your laundry out. We have issues. I want to extend an olive branch to say that I'm here to help. I want to be a voice to help from teachers who are scared to come up here and speak, who are scared of their administration for retaliation. So today I'm going to provide with, 3 ideas that me and other teachers have come up with as a policy proposal, obviously, and not that we expect it to happen right away, but just kind of a starting point. First one is based off teachers and protecting planning. South Carolina did it. We can't let them outdo us. And then another one is geared towards RTI MTSS district-wide policy to at least our K through 2 grade levels. Learning to read is so important to our students. And I cannot, I know everybody here believes that too. Today I heard about it, seen another program. It sounded great, but I'm not sure how many more programs we can take in the classroom, to be honest. You have the teachers. You do. You have the teachers that are willing to put in the tutoring, to put in the extra time. I wish there was a way that we could invest in them. Most of them have extra jobs anyway. So in after school, I don't know how the money, y'all know the money side, not me. But, and in order to catch our students in their reading our gaps, so that way they're successful. Studies show that 85% of the juvenile justice system's youth are functionally illiterate. We can lower that number. And then my last proposal was results around athletics, middle school athletics to be exact. Again, don't want to just sit up here and say whatever, but I'm very concerned about fast pitch softball in this district. When I started here in 2018, we had 8 high schools that had a fast pitch softball team. I coached at Johnson High. Currently today, I think we have 2. Slow pitch is not offered at the collegiate level for our female athletes. That's just, concerning, and thank y'all. Yeah, I'll get y'all's folder in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Randy Zerker? Oh. Okay, he's gone. All right, and last, Ms. Lorraine Bowers?
Good afternoon, board members and our superintendent and everyone that's here. I am Lorraine Bowers. On behalf of the Chatham Association of Educators, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you for your ongoing partnership with us in hosting the annual spelling bee for our students. Year after year, it has been both an honor and a joy to celebrate the hard work, talent, and dedication of our young students and scholars. Your willingness to collaborate with us and to open the door for opportunities like this reflects your commitment to not only academic excellence, but also to recognize and uplift the achievement of our students. The Spelling Bee is more than a competition. It is a celebration of perseverance, learning, community pride, and literacy. We look forward to continuing this tradition and to finding more ways to work together in support of our students and schools. Thank you again for always opening up your doors and having this partnership. To our superintendent, I look forward to meeting with you monthly to discuss concerns that our members may have and issues. I look forward to this continued partnership and to growing. As the president of CAE, you know that our members have concerns within our district, and we want to come to you first and voice them before we bring them to the board. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for this partnership, and Spelling Bee again this year. I hope to see you all there to support our students. I'm Lorraine Bowers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When is it?
January the 27th at Savannah State University.
Thank you. All right. Not everyone at once, but I'll accept the motion to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. We are adjourned.